Hello and a very warm welcome to Front Page, only on the AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI and technology. Truly a pleasure to have you all with us. But before we get on with the headlines and what lies ahead for the rest of the show on Front Page, here is something which is very important for me to share with you, which is the fact that Cypher, yes, India's biggest AI summit and expo, AIM's marquee event, is back in its 10th edition. And this time around, it's bigger than ever. Well, of course, if you're very serious about your AI and tech, you know what to do. You need to be at KTPO Bengaluru in October of this year for Cypher 2026. Well, it'll be fascinating to see you there. And now, of course, here are the headlines. Japan will trigger a massive $2.3 trillion technological revolution by 2040, investing heavily in semiconductors, vertical AI, and robotics to aggressively challenge US-China market dominance and secure complete sovereign control over its digital economic future. The RBI has proposed sweeping AI governance rules for banks, including mandatory kill switches, human oversight, board-level accountability, risk-based controls, and customer disclosure requirements, as concerns, as we know, grow around AI risks in financial systems. China's Qihoo 360 unveiled two cybersecurity AI models to counter America's Mythos. Despite lagging in raw computing power, the localized systems will integrate compute with security expertise to rival Anthropic's flagship model. Former Infosys CEO Vishal Sikka has launched Hang 10 Systems with $32 million in seed funding, betting that AI-driven software development can automate much of the customization, maintenance, and integration work traditionally performed by IT services firms. At Config 2026, Figma just declared war on the design-to-code handoff, bringing executable code, native motion, and AI agents directly onto the canvas, redefining how products get built. IIT Bombay's Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan will join me on Front Page to discuss BharatGen anchoring Project Tapestry, a global consortium co-leading distributed frontier AI training while securing India's sovereign data and a trillion parameter future. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi just committed Japan to one of the largest technology investment targets in history, 370 trillion yen, roughly $2.3 trillion in combined public and private spending through 2040. 17 sectors, one clear objective: technological sovereignty. The conversation around AI and semiconductors has been framed as Washington versus Beijing for so long that everyone else has been written out of it. Guess what? Tokyo has just written itself back in. And of course, before we move along, I would just like to please draw your attention to the fact that if you genuinely enjoy these kind of geopolitical, technological-based stories that we bring to you on Front Page, please like, share, and subscribe. It truly motivates us. And now that you have, we really want to thank you for it. Now, of course, for the rest of the Japanese saga. Silicon is actually the absolute core of the modern economy. Japan is aggressively locking down the supply chain. They are investing 68 trillion yen directly into semiconductors. That is actually, ladies and gentlemen, over $400 billion. Now, the old script or the old sentiment labeled Japan as a legacy hardware hub. The new reality positions them as the apex manufacturer. Those massive TSMC fabs in Kumamoto, well, honestly, that was just the start. The projected economic spillover for this chip push is quite staggering. Nearly $3 trillion in generated value. They are betting everything on total vertical integration. Now, hardware requires a very significant amount of brain. Silicon Valley is obsessed with consumer chatbots and generative hype. Japan is actually playing a very different game. They are laser focused on vertical AI, hyper-specialized, deeply trained models tailored for healthcare, finance, heavy industry. The projected impact hits actually $1.4 trillion. But interestingly, they are taking it a step further into the physical world. Now, physical AI and advanced robotics are getting a very massive injection. Why? Well, because of the demographics. Japan has a rapidly aging population and a very acute labor shortage. We are aware of these facts. Hard but clear. They are building automated systems, well, to ensure that their factories keep on going despite these issues. Now, for the areas which are the true challenging points, so to say, Japan carries the highest public debt in the developed world. Skeptics are asking how they can possibly afford this. Now, the strategy is, well, quite genius. The government sets the benchmark, the private capital supplies the momentum, and they're using state direction to force dormant corporate cash out of hiding. Global investors see a massive, undeniable multiplier effect. Domestic analysts see a very dangerous ambiguity in the exact funding splits. It is, to be honest, a high-stakes gamble against economic gravity. Now, of course, for the front page take. Here is the final thought as far as we at front page is concerned. Now, if you are a founder or an investor who is under 30 years of age, I feel maybe the center of gravity has taken a significant amount of a transformation. Japan is deploying next generation wireless and cloud computing to digitally fortify its entire economy. What they want is complete, unshakable resilience. The United States and China are no longer, well, the only titans on the board, as clearly with those kind of investments that Japan has made. Tokyo is definitely fully clued in. The race to 2040, I feel, may have officially started. If you feel so too, and if you feel that this race will have, well, more contenders coming into the picture, please do let us know in the comments below. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the AIM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM. RBI wants a kill switch for AI, and that could change how artificial intelligence is used across India's banking system. Now, before we get on with this, I believe if you thoroughly enjoy news which is related to the impact of AI in terms of the financial systems, in terms of probably the stock markets, etc., please like, share, and subscribe, as it truly does motivate us. And now that you have, I thoroughly want to thank you for the same. Now, of course, what has the Reserve Bank of India done? The Reserve Bank of India has released a new draft framework for banks and financial institutions using AI. And the headline proposal is, every bank must be able to shut down any AI model it uses at any given point in time. It is actually what the RBI describes as override, suspension, and deactivation mechanisms. Or, well, more simply put, a kill switch. So with AI rapidly becoming a part of the financial system, banks are using models to assess risk, detect fraud, process applications, support customer service, and increasingly assist with decision making. But you know, the RBI believes that growing use also creates growing concerns and risks, particularly when those systems are handling sensitive financial information and making decisions that can actually affect the very lives of customers. The central bank says no AI system should operate without the ability to be instantly shut down if it produces harmful or erroneous outcomes. But the question I want to ask you is, why now? Well, maybe that move comes at a time when concerns around advanced AI systems are increasing globally. The RBI's draft follows certain cybersecurity concerns linked to, well, you guessed it, Anthropic's Claude Mythos model. And regulators around the world are beginning to ask the same very question. Now, the question is, what happens if an AI system behaves in a way that was never intended for it to? The RBI's answer is, humans must always remain in control. One of the most important parts of the framework is human oversight. The RBI says all AI-driven decisions must remain subject to human supervision. Now, the framework is remarkably broad. It applies to every AI model used by a regulated entity. If a model influences business or decision-making processes inside a bank, it falls under the framework. The RBI is also removing any ambiguity around responsibility. Basically, banks will remain fully accountable for the outcomes of every model they use, even if that model was purchased from a third-party vendor or was developed externally. Even if it actually combines internal and external components, the responsibility stays with the bank, which means due diligence becomes critical. The RBI is also proposing a risk-based classification system. Banks will be required to classify models based on risk levels, and then, of course, apply different levels of validation, monitoring, and oversight accordingly. Now, if the risk posed by a model exceeds the institution's risk appetite, immediate action must be taken. Now, that could include, let's say, enhanced controls, restrictions on usages, remediation efforts, or even decommissioning the model entirely. The issue must also be reported to the board's risk management committee. Perhaps the biggest governance shift is where the responsibility actually resides. Now, for the first time, the RBI is placing AI governance directly at the board level. Now, every regulated entity will need a board-approved model risk management framework. And that very framework must cover all models. And high-risk models won't just need approval from technology teams. They will require approval from the risk management committee of the board before deployment. Annual reviews will also be mandatory. The RBI is also looking beyond the models themselves. It has flagged supply chain risks arising from excessive dependence on a small number of AI providers. Banks will be expected to actively manage those dependencies and ensure that adopting AI does not introduce new vulnerabilities into their systems. The framework also contains new requirements for customer-facing AI. Banks must disclose when customers are interacting with AI systems, and customers must always have the option to switch to a human representative. Now, the RBI is essentially, effectively saying this, that customers deserve to know whether they're speaking to a machine or a person. The central bank also warns about something called automation bias. That's when employees begin trusting AI outputs too much and stop applying their very own judgment. And that brings us to the front page take. Now, this is one of the most comprehensive AI governance frameworks proposed by a major financial regulator anywhere in the world. The RBI is trying to ensure that they remain accountable for it, because as artificial intelligence becomes more powerful, regulators are asking a new question. If AI makes a mistake, who is responsible? The RBI's answer is the bank, not the model, the vendor, or the algorithm. The question now I would like to ask you, as AI becomes more deeply embedded in financial services, will kill switches and human oversight be enough to manage the risks? Please do let us know. It's quite intriguing, that thought, in the comments below. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IIM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM. You know, just like you cannot count out Max Verstappen in a Formula One championship, you truly cannot count out China in the technology championship. Actually, if there were one, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be something around the corner. And I say that because what China has done is that they have released their own model rivaling Anthropic's Mythos. But before we continue with this particular story, I would thoroughly request you to please like, share, and subscribe. It truly encourages us and the entire team here at Front Page. So, well, now that you have, well, it's not going to have a bearing on the story, but it's definitely going to have a bearing on our motivation. So we want to thank you for it. Now, of course, back to the story. At the Chinese ISC.AI 2026, a cybersecurity conference held in Beijing, Qihoo 360 or 360 security technology unveiled their two new models said to be the domestic answer to Anthropic's Mythos. Now, under a banner drawn from a classic Chinese martial arts novel meaning heavenly sword and dragon saber. The founder, Zhu Hongyi, showcased Tulung Feng and Yitian Zhen. The former is a model capable of automatically discovering software vulnerabilities and is said to be China's version of Mythos. Now, while the latter can automate cyber defense and incident response. So, according to the company, the model has already found 3,432 software vulnerabilities, including 105 confirmed by Chinese authorities. Now, these claims were not independently verified by Reuters, but it does speak to a shift in the way we are discussing cybersecurity. China and the United States have long been accusing each other of launching cyber attacks, and the existence of Mythos had created unease in the Chinese market, given the model's unprecedented cyber attack capabilities. Moreover, the United States has enforced strict export control orders on its cutting-edge chips since 2022, preventing outside models from catching up to Anthropic. But companies are progressively building their own models, pushing for domestic interventions instead of relying only on the United States. CEO Hong Yi noted in his speech that, and I quote, "This kind of powerful weapon that can change the landscape of cyber offense and defense cannot be held only by the others," end quote. Now, according to him, this is about building a stronger defense and an offensive advantage in China's critical digital infrastructure, and is definitely a step in the right direction because, we at Front Page have been constantly talking about sovereign AI in the face of Mythos' export control order and its subsequent suspension. As always, China has carved out its own niche in the cybersecurity space. But there is a caveat. In raw computing power, the models are still 20 to 30% behind their American counterparts. But for Qihoo 360, it is less about raw computing power. I feel they are trying to combine models with security expertise, vulnerability databases, and automated tools, which would give the model Mythos-level capabilities. The approach will be fragmented, avoiding a concentration of power in, any one private company, which actually brings us to the Front Page take. Now, NDTV Profit reported that instead of the nuclear arms race, we have an AI race now, where the country with the best model wins. You know what? I'm honestly not very surprised. But then also just makes us wonder, where does that leave us, the everyday citizens? Now, in the fight between leaders, it is people's information that is collateral damage. Now, perhaps the next question is about defending privacy and protecting critical civilian digital infrastructure. What are your thoughts? What is the argument you think everyone is missing altogether? Yes, everyone is gung-ho about the AI race, but are we going in the right direction or not? One would definitely like to know your thoughts in the comments below. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM. Now, Vishal Sikka has a new bet, and it could very well challenge the very industry that made him famous. But, as always, I would like to request you to like, share, and subscribe. It is truly encouraging everyone here at Front Page whenever you do that. And I have to say, I thank you for it. Now, for the former CEO of Infosys, what has he done? He has launched a new startup called Hang 10 Systems. The company has raised $32 million in seed funding led by Mayfield, with participation from Aramco Ventures and a group of angel investors. But the idea is actually more interesting than the money aspect of things, because Sikka believes AI can do much of the work that traditional IT services companies have done for decades. Now, for years, companies like Infosys built massive businesses helping enterprise customize, integrate, and maintain software systems. The model was more projects required more people generated more revenue. That approach turned India's IT services industry into a global powerhouse, which was applauded across the world as well. But Sikka believes AI could fundamentally change that equation. His new startup says enterprises should be able to continuously build, modify, and operate software using AI-driven development and automation rather than human labor. Sikka isn't a typical founder making a bold prediction. He spent, years on years on years inside enterprise software. 12 years at SAP, a former board member at Oracle, former CEO of Infosys, and founder of enterprise AI company RBI AI. Now that track record is one reason investors back the company, and why wouldn't they? Mayfield partner Naveen Chadda says Hang Ten launched only about a month ago and already has customers. Among them are Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy and healthcare company Fresenius. The startup says it is already helping large enterprises deliver projects using AI native approaches. Now Hang Ten is also being built by people who have worked alongside Sikka for quite some time. The founding team includes executives from SAP, Infosys, and RBI AI. Among them are CTO Naveen Buddhiraja, Chief Design Officer Sanjay Rajagopalan, and Senior Vice President of Forward Deployed Engineering Tao Liu. The company's board also includes Yahoo co-founder Jerry Yang. The startup is headquartered in the Bay Area and says it is hiring aggressively across engineering, delivery, sales, and leadership roles while expanding globally. Now, notably, this seems like it isn't Sikka's first AI venture. After leaving Infosys in 2017, he founded RBI AI, as I had mentioned. The company emerged from stealth in 2019 with $50 million in seed funding. It later raised another $140 million in a round led by SoftBank Vision Fund 2. But Hang Ten seems to have taken a different path. RBI AI focused on enterprise analytics and helping businesses use AI for decision making. Hang Ten is focused on AI-powered software services. So its model revolves around agentic code generation, reusable AI skills, and domain expertise. The startup enters the market at a fascinating moment. Every major IT services company is right now trying to figure out what AI means for its future. Infosys has partnered with companies such as OpenAI and Anthropic. Other service firms are doing the same. But nobody fully agrees on what happens next. Some analysts believe IT services could become one of the first industries to face major AI disruption. Infosys chairman Nandan Nilekani recently argued that AI could actually expand the industry's addressable market. Now, in his view, AI may create more opportunities rather than eliminate them. Quite interesting. But also, what is also very interesting is the front page take. Now, Infosys itself recently told investors that AI-first services could become a $300 to $400 billion market by 2030. Yet, investors remain, uncertain. Infosys shares are down more than 35% this year as markets try to understand how AI will reshape the economics of IT services. Now, one of the company's former CEOs is building a startup based on the belief that the old model is ready for reinvention. The question now I have for you: will AI become the biggest opportunity the IT services industry has ever seen, or the biggest disruption it has ever faced? Please do let us know what are your thoughts in the comments below. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the AI Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AI. Now, for over a decade, design and code lived in two separate worlds. Designers built the mock-up, engineers rebuilt it in code. And then both sides spent days arguing over spacing, animation, and whether the shipped thing even looked like the approved design. Now, every product team knows that, circle, that loop. Today, at Config 2026 in San Francisco, Figma tried to delete it. But before I want to go ahead and tell you about Figma's latest journey, here is something which I have as a request for you. So if you really thoroughly enjoy stories like this of reinvention, of things which are disruptions as far as new models are concerned, as far as AI and tech is concerned, please like, share, and subscribe. It thoroughly encourages us here at Front Page. Thank you so much. And now, of course, for the rest of the Figma story. Figma has unveiled its biggest update yet, Code Layers, the ability to bring real executable code directly onto the design canvas. And honestly, it didn't stop there. Native motion, AI shaders, custom AI agents, prompt build plugins, all shipped at once. The design file is no longer a picture of the product. It's actually becoming the product. But the real story isn't so much about the feature list. It's the philosophy that is motivating it. CEO Dylan Field put it across like this: code is not the opposite of design. Code is material for design. End quote. Now, for quite some time, the industry focused and forced a choice of sorts: design versus code. Figma has declared that debate, it seems, to be on its way out. And if that plays out, every handoff, mock-up, and every throw it over the wall moment disappears. Now, let me try to go ahead and elaborate on this. With code layers, teams can now clone entire repositories onto the canvas, convert any design component onto editable code-backed layers, modify that code through AI chat or a built-in composer. It's actually backed by real React code. It supports NPM packages, motion libraries, even 3D frameworks. The handoff Figma once actually documented is now the thing it actually wants to remove altogether. Then, of course, let me try to bring your attention to Figma Motion. Until now, designers had to build animations in, well, other software, then convert them into code Figma could understand. You know what? Not anymore. Now, animation transitions and 3D transforms live natively on the canvas. Animate a component once, and that motion travels across every screen, file, collaborator, and in dev mode, this is what it does. The full timeline is readable, exportable as CSS, JSON, or React. Now, here's where it actually starts to get very interesting. Figma added AI-generated shaders, describe an effect, or for that matter, drop in a reference image, and the Figma agents actually starts to build it. Dither, pixelate, blur, frosted glass, effects that weren't even possible in Figma before. And because they're built by the agent, they come parameterized with control, ready to convert to code. But the bigger play is actually the design agent itself. Figma is turning one-off prompts into reusable systems. Agent skills let teams package workflows into repeatable commands. Connectors plug into Notion, Slack, GitHub, Excel, and more. Attachments feed the agent briefs, research, and context. Agent chats are now visible to teammates by default. The price isn't about one clever prompt. It's actually a workflow your entire team can run against next week. And now here's the part which, well, maybe begs a question. Announcing tools at a conference is fairly easy. Making them survive the real world is quite challenging. Code synced from a canvas still has to pass code review. A generated animation still has to perform in the actual app. A custom agent skill is only useful if teams actually trust it. Figma hasn't erased those problems. What's done is that it has drawn a line around where it thinks software is going and betted the company on getting there. Now, of course, for the macro view. The pressure on Figma is, well, everywhere. Canva launched its own AI foundation model. Adobe's Firefly is deep in enterprise. Google unveiled an AI design tool inside Workspace. And vibe coding IDEs like Cursor skip design entirely. Figma's answer? Don't get replaced by code, absorb it. And here, of course, is the front page take. Well, this is Figma's real bet of sorts, that the old wall between design tools and development tools has become too expensive for any team that needs to ship fast. So it's collapsing them into one canvas, where design is a process and code is just another material. Now the question is that I'd like to ask you, will teams actually treat the canvas as where software gets built, or will design and engineering stay two separate worlds with a handoff in between somewhere there? Please do let us know. What are your thoughts in the comments below this, ladies and gentlemen? Is Front Page by the IM Network. Like, share, subscribe. Always remember, think AI, think AIM.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adobe, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ML file. And what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Py project created. There is requirement. And this is the environment. So this is the app where you have a Py cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker. And these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of rounding. So we have low confidence that the response is rounded.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adobe, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ML file. And what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Py project created. There is requirement, and this is the environment. So just this is the app where you have a Py cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker, and these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding. So we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
Now, just 3 days ago in Paris, something significant happened. Now, while the G7 was debating AI sovereignty in Evian and Viva Tech was hosting the world's largest tech gathering, the AI Alliance announced that India's BharatGen would anchor India's role in Project Tapestry, a global consortium built on one specific premise, that frontier AI can be developed collaboratively across nations, with each participant retaining ownership of their own data, models and deployment. Jan LeCun, Meta's chief AI scientist and the Alliance's chief science advisor, said this, and I quote, "No single company or country should determine who can build on it, adapt it or benefit from it," end quote. Now, BharatGen is already co-leading the distributed model training workstream. It is also building India's own trillion parameter model under the India AI mission with 988.6 crore rupees in government funding across a consortium of IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, IIT Mandi, IIIT Hyderabad, IIT Kanpur and IIT Indore. Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan is the founding director at BharatGen and Professor of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Bombay. And today, he's joining me exclusively on Front Page for a fascinating discussion ahead on something which I believe we should all be very, very proud of in terms of a development. Welcome to Front Page, Professor. How are you doing? It's truly an honor and a pleasure to have you with us. Well, let me just get on with the first aspect of things, a huge development. Let me give a slight context and then I'll come to the question. BharatGen joins a global consortium, Professor, including Switzerland's Apertus, UAE's MB Zuai, and AI Singapore, with Jan LeCun as Chief Science Advisor. Now, what does BharatGen gain from joining Project Tapestry, Professor, that it could probably not have achieved building India's frontier AI independently?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very important question. The whole idea of federated learning is bringing the strength of complementarity, right? Complementarity of data sets, of pipelines, of models to give a sum of parts greater than the whole effect. I repeat, a sum of parts greater than the whole effect. In very simple layman terms, right? Imagine building a forest. Imagine having a forest, right? So each tree in the forest benefits from the other trees, ecosystem there, right? And if you were to liken the foundational model building capability, the sovereignty in AI as the root of each tree, right? And there are multiple such trees. The fruits are, of course, the adoption, the application. So what we gain is, of course, the fruits in terms of adoption, because we will like models to be not just frugal, but also frontier.
Fair enough.
What BharatGen and what India gains with Tapestry is the ability to aspire, ability to move towards frontier AI models without having to do everything in one place, right? And to some extent, if you were to just focus on an sovereign AI initiative here, you would have to do all the heavy lifting yourself. And why? I mean, why should there be redundancy of effort? Ultimately, you want people to benefit. We would like compute to be used efficiently.
Sure.
So it just makes sense that every person excels in what they have while complementing and adding and contributing to what others have. That's what I mean by the sum of parts greater than whole effect.
Makes sense. So it's a cohesive effort in a big way. Very quickly, before I move on to the aspect of India keeping the data within the country and that entire conversation, I want to ask you this very quickly, Professor. What are your thoughts on the fact that should we really be concentrating on frontier -1 models right now, given maybe the compute capacity, given the fact that the kind of funding, etc., that we have at our availability? Or because you mentioned frontier models, yes, that is eventually the goal, that is what we want to achieve. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, maybe could we, let's say, progress by starting with frontier -1 and then start getting into that? The reason I say that is also, I'll give you an example, which is, let's say, something like a Varia coming into the picture. It's a wonderful thing to have happened as far as Avatar is concerned. Various other, companies who are doing fabulously well. So I was coming from that point of view because Vivek from Sarvam had mentioned this, that maybe that could be an interesting way to proceed. What are your thoughts?
It's a journey. I mean, even with something like Tapestry, right? The frontier -1 is a very important milestone. The frontier -2 is an important milestone.
Right.
So frontier is always going to be evolving, right? And therefore, frontier is not associated with necessarily a checkpoint, but a process, an aspiration to be world models, right? And the other important part is also here that cross-pollination, not just of models, but of best practices. So a little bit of genesis, right? How did this Tapestry ever blossom, right?
Sure.
And then as reflected in the original press release itself, it began during the India AI Impact Summit, which I think all credit to the India mission, to the people of India, the government of India, the industries. We had a fabulous India Impact Summit here, which drew the likes of Jan LeCun. He was here. I mean, we had a very interesting, invigorating evening of panel discussions, and I was in a panel, and Jan was in a panel right after that. And one coherent message that came out from both our panels is the fact that sovereignty is participation. Agreed. Sovereignty means bottom up, right? sovereignty means you don't think of the last mile as the last mile, but bring the last mile as the first mile.
Fair
I repeat,
point.
right?
Wonderfully
Sovereignty
said.
means you think of the last mile as the first mile by design and not a retrospective effort. So this resonated very well, and that is when we got together. We said, and there were many others, and the AI Alliance. All credit to them. I mean, there were amazing folk from IBM Research, IBM Worldwide. There were also, we have seen host of companies in academia, industry, next gen to name a few of them.
Sure.
Who have been Hugging Face has been part of AI Alliance. So when we got together, there are amazing people like Christopher who have been anchoring discussions with countries, with leaderships, whether it's Japan or Vietnam for that matter. And what came out through this series is Project Tapestry workshop, which was last month in May.
Right.
And that was in Paris. And I was again invited there as a keynote speaker, alongside Jan, and there were wonderful talks from, as you mentioned, from the Swiss AI effort, from open data spaces from Japan, MBZU AI. I'm just naming a few. You can actually go to the Tapestry notes, and you really find that the complementarity in strengths was also very apparent. And let me name a few, right?
Sure.
What BharatGen brings is very unique combination of research and engineering. And we did present the amount of rigor that went into, for example, multilingual pipelines, correction, post-correction, to mitigate systematic biases in data, right? Improve production grade data quality. How can we have multi-source ingestion? How can we have pipeline control, filtering techniques? A lot of engineering, right? Hard work, automated compliance, ethical scrutiny. How can we have NLP-driven categorization, taxonomy mapping, language verification, multi-tier quality routing, deduplication could be hybrid. Deduplication could be exact, could also be approximate. Different workflows around deduplication, safety, compliance, benchmark decontamination, data leakage capture, a lot of PII removal, redaction approaches around that, and basically constructing a culturally grounded collection. We have collected 22 trillion tokens, right? That's one of our milestones towards building a 17 billion parameter model.
Right.
Yeah. So this entire metadata management, the entire metadata management towards building also good reasoning data frontier.
Sure.
Now, what was very interesting, and then we have papers around it. In fact, we had a couple of papers this year where we brought agentic thought process into data collection. Going by the same principle I mentioned, the last mile as a first mile. Data cannot be an afterthought. Data should not be treated as just a means. It could be actually a first mile problem. But how can the model building capability be done in a way that builds high quality data, right? The two happen in good synchronization. Now, where I presented all this, it was very evident that this is something, for example, open data spaces from Japan, they resonated very well with this. They seem to be doing, and there's complementary skills. Not everything we do, they do. Not everything they do, we do.
Correct.
So that's when, in processes, there's a lot of complementarity. And we publish, as I said, right? We have a couple of papers this year at ACL and ICML, etc., which a lot of our work, even model building is about core set selection and data. Just to give a glimpse, right? There was this constitutional morality index that was published, a third-party study. And we are very happy to share that, there's a third-party study with 35 models. Our model, Param 2, was the top in the Indian cohort.
Congratulations,
7 in
Professor.
one scale, in another scale. Yes, thank you for that. So point is, it's not just we speaking about our data, there's validation of our data. So when all this, as an example.
That's why I said congratulations. It's because of that.
Thank you. Really appreciate.
Yeah.
This is one place where we see open data spaces. For example, Japan has done an excellent work as well as the data curation. Many other aspects of engineering, access control, right? Building very complex taxonomies. And I think the world as a whole needs to evolve in data practices, right? Even for your own constitutional morality index, even for your own sovereignty, we need to evolve.
Which
right?
brings me to
And
this. I have to add to this.
Sorry?
I have to add to
Yeah.
what you just mentioned, because this obviously is something which I'm pretty sure everyone watching would be wondering about, Professor, which I would really like for you to navigate. Now, beyond keeping data within borders, what does AI sovereignty actually mean, Professor, in practice? And how is it enforced technically rather than just, contractually? Because contract is one thing, but technically is where I would really like for us to kind of, be educated by. What are your thoughts?
So to me, AI sovereignty is provenance, observability in the entire AI pipeline, right? Explainability, not as an afterthought, but explainability by design. Why? Because that not only gives you control, but the recipes also give you the flexibility, alternatives. In fact, very interesting thing that came out in this first workshop during the India AI Impact Summit is sovereignty gives you alternatives. It's not just alternatives amongst models,
Very
it's
interesting.
alternatives amongst solutions that you create around, right?
Right.
I mean, do you have to do RAG all the time? I mean, do you need to keep bloating your context window all the time?
Right.
Are there other approaches you could consider? Right. So is fine-tuning a viable opportunity? Now, to lay all these alternatives on the table and be able to make a democratic choice, you need that observability. You need understanding of the recipes.
Right.
That also, as I said, brings to the fore alternatives. So sovereignty is about alternatives. Your freedom to choose, but in an informed manner, informed decision around choices.
Fair enough. Makes sense.
And also another point technically is sovereignty means that there is contribution. That contribution requires more observability. I mean, the data team is not just, BharatGen, for example, one of our consortium partners. We are a consortium of 9 academic institutions. Amazing contribution. There's participation from researchers. 9 academic institutions. We are now trying to expand it to more than maybe touching 3 dozen, right? Institutes. That's our aspiration. The process is on. Our Vice President, ML, Dr. Manish Singh, works non-stop trying to expand our consortium. So that's participation from research. One of our consortium partners, as I was trying to mention, is an Indian Institute of Management. I am Indore. They go around to many of second-tier cities, the libraries, and educating custodians of data, not just to give the data, but on the utility of the data. So there is, again, the transparency helps the people who provide data make informed decisions, and we are so happy and so grateful. Many of them have very happily, willingly contributed the data. So I think this is a movement where technically data, model building, and alignment processes, all of them, there is participation at every level.
Which is then logically going to beg this question, which I want to ask you, which is this. Project Tapestry's premise is that contributors retain ownership of their contributions and resulting derivative models. Now, the history, Professor, of open source AI suggests large players tend to kind of, extract more than they kind of put in. How will Tapestry ensure smaller contributors benefit fairly, because I feel that should be in the spotlight? And what stops, let's say, just a few large players from dominating the shared model? You did mention that sovereignty is also about choice. So how would you like to address that thought?
There are 2 aspects to this. One is obviously it is so essential to ensure participation here that we'll need to put all our technical capabilities right on the table to enable fairness. Right, so fairness is very, very critical here.
Sure.
All I can say, I mean, right, that's a couple of wonderful gentlemen, when they heard about BharatGen, right, going so far, they said, you already seem to be a mini Tapestry, right? So if we have a microcosm, right, which we are trying to make work, we are just hopeful that there's a macrocosm that we can. So we are really not trying to be upstarts, right? We are just trying to say, well, we have had an amazingly enriching experience so far. Here is another very sincere effort at enlarging the tribe. Let's see how we can enlarge this tribe to actually provide a process of democratizing AI. As our honorable director, Professor Shirish Kedare, I mean, when he heard this entire description, he said, this is an amazing process to democratize AI. So it's a process. And one of the, so that brings to my second point, right? One is the mini Tapestry microcosm that has given us a lot of assurance. And the other aspect, which our directors alluded to, is this is a process. Now, the beauty of a process is that it also has the ability to self-correct. If you're only thinking about a product, then you're stuck, right? With a process, you can have contributions which also help you course-correct. And you see in India always, because India has always adopted a process view of democracy, a process view towards technology. I mean, UPI being a great example. Right? UPI is a superb, stellar example for us. True. And you can see it went through several important milestones to realize where we are today. And it's still going through. And there's NPCI and there's a whole bunch of entities which have been doing a great job at this. So
fair enough.
That process view also is very reassuring here. These are my
But
two,
then, Professor, I mean, I agree with you. I fully agree with you. You talked about, democratization. You talked about the fact that it is a process. I fully agree with you, 100%. And that's a very positive way that is being approached. But do you feel that same kind of a sentiment or that same kind of energy is being shared across the room? For example, the workshops, for example, how are the other, people who are involved? By the way, I love the name Tapestry because it is just so self-explanatory and poetic. Are they also then in the same way embracing your thought? Because it is a progressive thought.
Well, I can assure you that the wonderful set of researchers, Jan obviously, right? Christopher, Anthony, Agatha, it is a leadership that even our IIT Bombay and BharatGen leadership has met and interacted with. Kaushik, again from one of the front leaders at Tapestry, and along with them, the technical leadership at some of the other institutions I mentioned, from our Tapestry workshop.
Sure.
I think the energy, the intent seems to be really resonating with
which is
what
wonderful.
I am presenting here.
Which is wonderful.
And all I can say is this: see, you need to have that vision, and then it'll start trickling down into action. So vision itself, as you pointed out, the name, and then the vision itself is so beautiful, right? I can only see that if you have a process view of it, the how part will mold itself. But yes, to cut along answer short, there is resonance at all levels that we have interacted with.
Which is so heartening. Of course, now we are all kind of waiting with bated breath. BharatGen is simultaneously building India's own trillion parameter model under the India AI mission. As I'd mentioned, the funding which has already been patronized as a mother system to be distilled into small domain-specific models for law, agriculture, finance and healthcare. Now, Professor, nearly 40,000 GPUs have been made available under the mission. Now, will learnings or technologies flow between the India AI mission model and Project Tapestry? That's one. Or are these genuinely separate efforts taking place? And when is the model finally getting released, the $1 trillion model?
So, you'll be happy to hear that thanks to the support from the India AI mission, we have now access to 1,400 GPUs, right?
Well
out
done.
of the 38,000 GPUs. The 1,400 GPUs, it's again on the portal, it's publicly visible. So they've been trying to unlock, working around the clock.
Is there more procurement? Sorry, Professor, is there more procurement in the offing? Because I was having a conversation with the director of RMZ and I thought he made a very incisive point. He said that they're building the data centers so that, there is space enough for then the mission to procure a lot more GPUs and set it up. Right now, even if they procure, what are they going to do with it? There is no space to install. Do you agree with that? And is there, because compute capacity is a big crisis.
So two answers to this, right? This is basically I will call it a virtuous cycle, right? The more you are able to, see how you can work across platforms, right? And just to give an example, the possibility of GPUs, but also TPUs.
Sure.
Right? More able to work across different platforms, the more choices that we are able to exercise, and the more the India AI mission is able to invest into myriad of choices. So I think that's answered question number one, right? Or I'll answer one to your question,
Sure.
which is building our muscle. The tech muscle helps create a virtuous cycle where we can see democratic choices coming to the table, and actually also the mission finding ways and means to avail those choices. That's
Fair
one.
enough.
The second is, all said and done, even with the expanded horizon of compute, we must accept that there's going to be limitation. And it's not even clear. It's not even clear whether we should keep on shooting, right? I would say an elusive target of infinite compute, right?
Yeah.
So that is exactly where the Tapestry thought process also comes in, right? We don't have to, a little bit of decentralization, which also kind of resonates with, the great thinking from Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi ji, right?
Correct.
Which was also, I mean, the Swaraj, the whole concept of, scaling out, right? I mean, whether it's manufacturing, assembling clothes, right? Or growing food. He always talked, the Swaraj concept was of basically decentralizing. So could we actually realize the potency of AI in decentralized manner with the source and the consumption are brought closer together, right? If you centralize too much, you're actually taking the source and consumption further away from each other. But Tapestry gives you a means. I would say also a lot of voice there, a lot of technical know-how. It's not Tapestry. By the way, we are also cross-pollinating on ideas.
Yeah, makes sense.
Since you asked what we plan to share, maybe that's a very. I'll just foray to that other question of yours.
Sure.
Since I'm talking about Tapestry, we are only sharing what is already published from our end. But even to take what is published, right? We had a letter of intent signed during the Impact Summit. Our director signed it with with Mr. Christopher, Dr. Christopher from Tapestry. Now, it's very clear. What are we trying to do here? There's a lot of work that has been published, right? Open source published work freely shared, even from our end, right? Some of it is also failure, some things that work. Now, the understanding between the lines of those publications and doing sufficient capacity building, right, around that. So that's still preserving
That's very important
AI sovereignty for
because
each
honestly,
node, right?
it brings such value addition to the entire situation. I agree with you, Professor.
Because you have publications, but you need to amplify what those publications stand for.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that amplification is the process of mutual capacity building, because when we share, we also learn.
Yeah.
It's basically learning and sharing, and sharing go hand in hand. So that ecosystem growth is what we are trying to achieve through this Tapestry letter of intent. I mean, sharing is both at the research as well as engineering and things that we publish, right?
Okay.
But as I say, you need to amplify that both in interest of us, because we by amplification we get better visibility overall. India emission gets better visibility. India gets visibility, as you can already see. The visibility is what is actually also
for sure.
leading to this conversation. But the visibility should also translate to very, very concrete action. I mean, impact.
I think
And that
that's
is
where
where
you've hit the nail on
where
the
it
head.
begins.
I think that's where you
Right.
hit the nail on the head, because that's actually finally what needs to happen.
Exactly. And as I said, that is where the whole concept is bringing the last mile to the first mile in action. Right.
Makes sense.
If you want people to be benefited, I mean, we had a recent study where we showed that we have not published it, but our recent studies have shown that the overall, in terms of the cost per million tokens, right? The cost per million tokens, our model are around 5 rupees.
Right.
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 Now that's amongst the lowest, but
It is.
Now that's important. How can you make impact without being frugal and without reducing the latency and reducing the cost, right? Cost
And the
per million
overall
tokens coming
impact on the
down.
consumer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. When is the $1 trillion model releasing? You're being very mysterious about it, Professor.
Oh, not at all. As I said, it is all happening in a collaborative manner.
Okay.
We have got access now to 1,400 GPUs. As we ramp up from that to 500 nodes and so on, right? Nodes. I'm talking about from GPUs now gone to nodes. That is when we are able to unfold potency of larger models, 100 plus. I mean, basically models in the 100 billion parameter range, then the 500 billion parameter range, and 1 trillion parameter range. So that's broadly the roadmap. Our intent, provided compute gets provisioned, our intent is to have these models before March 2027, right?
Okay.
That's our intent.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Professor. This sounds wonderful. And of course,
you.
we're going to make sure that when that happens, you're back on front page. Needless to say, right? You'll grace us with your presence. Wonderful. Now, I want to talk about this. LeCun has argued consistently that closed AI systems are very dangerous concentrations of power. One, Project Tapestry is actually the institutional expression of that very argument, as you have walked us through it till now. Now, do you believe projects like Tapestry can genuinely challenge the closed model ecosystem over the next 5 years? Or is the compute gap too wide to close through collaboration alone?
It's hard to zero down on an answer at this point of time.
Okay.
I think we need to work on both fronts. We need to work on not just ramping up compute, but also sovereign infra. The orchestration layer is important. The infra being sovereign is important. We need to work on both fronts. And the recent episodes with
okay, let me reframe it. Let me ask you differently. Are we headed in the right direction? Is that entire aspect of the road journey ahead going in the right direction? We've established compute capacity is, well, a constraint, but you've answered it well enough to say that we need to work not on an infinite compute capacity figure, but also work on different technologies to address that. As far as frontier -1 model is concerned, you're agreed with that. As far as things moving forward, as far as Tapestry is concerned, yes. But you know what, Professor, if you were to debunk the mindset of, generally speaking, of people in India who are, of course, always celebrating, tech in India, what would you like to say to them? Let me reframe it like that to you.
Right. So I would say one of the key requirements is bringing down the training and more importantly, the inference cost through more fundamentally sound representations, right? If you look at Jan LeCun's work around JEPA, right? Around sounder representation, it was all in that direction. So to me, the real North Star is making these models, the representation space, the architectures, a lot more compliant, removing a lot of the bloating. There's a lot of bloating in these, right? These models. And we've only seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of adoption either, right? So as being aspirational on the wide scale adoption, at the same time, being able to make these models frugal, data efficient. You've probably heard that we have this open source platform called Decile, data efficient learning. So checking both the boxes, the data efficient learning as well as bringing it to very, very sound, high quality, representations for the model, which also make the inference extremely affordable for widespread adoption.
Fair enough.
There needs to be research, and it has to be a lot of collaborative work between engineers, researchers across the globe. Core design needs to be a part of this, the entire DNA. And yes, the last mile should be the first mile. That's when adoption can happen.
I love that line. Professor, thank you so much for joining us on Front Page. And honestly, all I can say, whatever I've gathered through our discussion, is the fact that the Tapestry is starting to flourish. And of course, we would request for your presence at Cypher 2026. It's the 10th edition this time around, Professor. So it's going to be bigger than ever. You're going to be there, which makes it even more grand.
Thank you. Thank you,
Sudhi.
Very honored to talk to you today. Thank you.
Fair enough. You will be at Cypher, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Just wanted to confirm. All right. Thank you so much, Professor, and wishing you and everyone at BharatGen and the entire team all of the best moving forward. I, of course, would now request you, ladies and gentlemen, to well ponder over everything that Professor mentioned. He has mentioned so many interesting things. This particular development of Tapestry taking place, and I love that line. The last mile needs to actually start being the first mile. And there's no harm in going ahead in building a frontier -2 model, a frontier -1 model, but the eventual understanding is the frontier model quest, which is exactly what he's talking about. He's also talking about sharing of ideas. Sovereignty means choice. I mean, there were so many fascinating takeaways that I had. I would love to understand from you, what are your thoughts on this particular development? In the comments below, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IIM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think IIM.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adobe, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ml file. And what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Py project created. There is requirement, and this is the environment. So this is the app where you have a Py cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker, and these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding. So we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adobe, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ML file. And what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Py project created. There is requirement, and this is the environment. So just this is the app where you have a Py cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker, and these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding. So we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I'm Antara and you're watching Point Break. I want to start with something that was a little strange, a little bizarre. A few days ago, somebody posted something online that sort of stopped a lot of people mid-scroll. That person said that he had used ChatGPT so much that he could now predict its answers before even opening the app. His cat was apparently scratching at the door and meowing. Now, normally he would have picked up his phone and he would have asked ChatGPT why. This time his phone was dead. So he just thought about it himself, and the answer in his head sounded almost identical to what he would have expected the chatbot to say. Now, some people laughed at him and said that he had simply rediscovered thinking. Others thought that something more profound was happening. The point that I'm trying to make here, ladies and gentlemen, is that for most of human history, intelligence was defined by what we knew, what we remembered, and what we could figure out on our own. Today, on the other hand, we are entering a world where intelligence is available on demand. So today's question is artificial intelligence making us smarter, or is it slowly, quietly outsourcing the very skills that made us intelligent in the first place? I'm Antara Gupta, this is Point Break. Let's get into it. Today I have with me two guests who both live and work at the intersection of technology, people, and how humans actually grow. Amrit Raj is the co-founder of Women in Product India, a community of over 5,000 product builders, leaders, and founders across the country. He has spent years thinking about how professionals learn, how they grow, how they navigate an industry that is changing faster than any curriculum can keep up with. He has also recently joined Jungle Ventures as partner and chief marketing officer, working with some of India's most ambitious tech builders. Amrit, it's great to have you on Point Break. Welcome.
Thank you, Antara, for having me over here.
Absolute pleasure. The next guest that we have with us today is Swati Awasthi, who is essentially the other half of that founding story. She's the founder of Women in Product India, a product leader who has worked across Dell, PwC, and Sapient in the US, UK, and India, a startup advisor, a podcast host, a speaker at IIM Bangalore and IIT Delhi, and a recipient of the Tech Leadership Award 2025 by AIM's The Rising. She runs AI PM Mastery cohorts and hosts the AI for India and She Leads podcast. Swati, it's absolutely great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Antara. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Okay, so let's start with a line rather, that has been circulating in AI circles recently. Google DeepMind's Logan Kilpatrick wrote, "You can outsource your thinking, but you can't outsource your understanding." That distinction, I believe it feels important. Thinking is the process, right? Understanding is what you're left with afterward. The thing that lets you apply knowledge in a new situation, explain it to somebody else, or even notice when something is off. Swati, my first question is to you. You run AI PM Mastery cohorts. You are literally teaching product professionals how to work with AI. In your experience, what I want to know from you is that distinction between thinking and understanding something you see play out in your students? Are people using AI to think faster but understand less deeply? What is the situation on ground?
Yeah. So I'll take this question because we're talking about professionals here who are part of the AI product management cohort,
yeah,
are essentially already leaders because they have worked in the product domain for some time, right? So when they take AI, it helps them augment their thinking at this point. They are experienced enough to take AI and make themselves work better. But also they have that knowledge and that experience that they're not outsourcing all of their understanding to AI at this point. So they have that nuanced approach to AI. Okay. So that's what I am seeing with the AI product management cohorts, that the experienced folks, because they have come through to this level of being senior to mid-level professionals, seeing how the tech world has evolved. They've been part of the cloud boom, they've been part of the mobile boom. So when they learn AI as part of the cohort, they have that nuance of, okay, what I should outsource, what I should use AI to augment, and what I should totally give reins into AI's hand.
Right.
So that's what I'm perceiving.
So you would say that there is no blind dependency per se, right?
Yeah, in this segment, yeah. Specifically this segment, yes.
Nice. Amrit, my next question is to you. You've built a community of 5,000 plus product professionals, right? You see how people are actually using artificial intelligence day to day. Is the concern about understanding a real one, or would you see that, this is something just people say to younger professionals, and how younger professionals quietly get work done? Would you say that is what is happening on ground?
Yes, Antara. See, actually, I'm also involved with our EdTech venture is called as Future Minds Institute, where we train a lot of professionals in AI, professionals, college students, and I'm training a lot of MSMEs also in AI adoption and AI literacy. So wherever I'm training, right, the major concern is this only, especially in college professors I was training in DSU. They were like, Amrit, is it making us dumb? Because if I outsource, if I'm using AI for all my work, am I, is my brain being utilized, or going forward in future, will I be able to do the task without the help of AI? So this fear is there from the audience side also, and from the teacher side also, and professionals and everyone. Now, talking about how do we look at it, how I look at it from a trainer's perspective is, when calculators came into the market, right, there was again this questions, right, calculators should not be allowed, and there was protests against use of calculators in exams and everything. But nowadays, if you see, calculator is a part of our curriculum, and in many exams in CA and all, it is already allowed into the exams, right? Similarly, for AI also, we are getting into a place where we understand for what we use and for what not we use. The ecosystem is still evolving. But yeah, that is where, trainers like me and, Swati and other folks and, you guys as well, spread the awareness about, where all it can go wrong. And I would add here, there's a study by MIT and, Carnegie Mellon and UCLA, these group of colleges, they did a study where they found out there is a cognitive offloading. The more we use AI, and our neural activity drops down. So what they did basically is they divided a group of students, a small sample size, I guess 50 plus, into 3 groups. One group using AI, one group using Google search, and one group using old school method of using books. And they studied their brain activity. And the most brain activity was found in the people who were using books, and least was found in the people who are using AI. And after 6 months down the line, they asked the participants about the same task. They were not able to recall. The people who used AI, they were not able to recall the task. But people who had done the hard way, they were able to recall this task. So there is some cognitive downgrading, and we are not able to use the brain to the fullest. But that is the new world where we live in. The new the way in which we operate, and there are going to be new parameters on which we are going to be judged. So yeah, and bringing in the right thinking around this among students, amongst professionals, and whoever is using AI, the onus lies on trainers and people who are building in this domain.
Absolutely, Amrit. In fact, I think in an era where artificial intelligence is so much into the picture, I believe it is very imperative for us to, walk with AI instead of walking behind it, right? It's time we start using artificial intelligence as an asset. But of course, like you very correctly pointed out, the dependency is something that people are concerned about. Which brings me to my next question, and this is for the both of you. Would you say understanding could exist without the effort that, whatever effort you needed to traditionally produce it? Or is it the effort itself which is part of what creates the understanding?
Yeah.
I would... Okay, Swati, go ahead.
You want to take it?
No, please, you go ahead.
Antara, I would like to go towards that I think the thinking or perspective where we say that, okay, understanding only the full spectrum of understanding something only comes when you go through that effort, the extra effort that you take to make yourself actually become good at something, right? That you're trying to accomplish, give it its due of like till you reach from point A to point B, from zero to one journey. Like you have to go through some efforts. And where like now if we bring AI into the mix, if we like how we look at it, if AI is intelligence that is kind of adding on to the intelligence that we already have, that is probably a little bit of a plus. But I would say AI at this point is how it's helping you work faster. It's not augmenting that effort. It's not like it can't replace the effort that you are taking to get to that actual understanding from 0 to 1. Because where AI is at this point, it's only trained with all of the understanding of humankind and the internet that has already existed. So the creativity element and the new age thinking, the originality, that has to come in the upcoming years and ages. That AI lacks that. It's not going to produce it. It is not going to like grow those brain muscles or that creativity that it has not been fed, that already exists. So that effort that leads a human to a specific understanding, that still has to come out from human intelligence and then get fed into AI for it to become more smarter.
Understood. Amrit, you want to add on to that?
Yes. Yeah. So as rightly said, effort depends on where we are putting the effort. Earlier, I had to go through thousands of links, select 1 or 2 links which is good for and then read through it. Now what AI does is, instead of going through all the 1,000 links, it gives me, these are the 10 links, just read through it. So the reading part, I would want to put effort rather than searching part. So once AI sorts that out and gives me these specific, let's say I want to learn marketing. Okay, out of 1,000, earlier, what's the approach I used to do is go to Google and look for the videos on YouTube, or let's say, look for the articles, or, so, and then out of that 100 or 1,000 articles, I'll select 1 or 2. Now AI gives me, these are the 4-5 articles. Now the onus lies on me in reading that and understanding, making notes out of that, and verifying whether these links are right or not. Right? So this is where I would want to put my efforts into. So what AI has done is it has reduced the time span of learning for me, if you see, right? And the second approach is I just get the link, I just copy paste and just keep it, just and not reading that, or let's say giving an assignment, right? I have to submit an assignment. I'm not reading that all the links which it has given or the report which it has given, right? And questioning the points which it has given. That is where I would say the difference lies. The effort in understanding and growing with the AI. You are as good as your AI is. And the links which it is giving, if I'm reading through, if I'm, going through, in the depths of the marketing, let's say, right? Over a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, I'm going to be, a leader in that domain. So this is what AI does. It reduces the time span between idea to execution. I keep on saying this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is where it saves a lot of efforts for me.
Absolutely. I think that is exactly where the lines also get blurry for a lot of people. You very correctly pointed out how AI essentially is there to help with the grunt work, right? Exactly. But the lines are somewhat getting blurry, and that is where a lot of worry also comes into the picture, especially when so many professionals are concerned. Since we are talking about that, my next question is on the cognitive offloading era, right? This is not really the first time that technology has changed how we think. You very correctly pointed out, calculators changed arithmetic altogether, right? GPS changed how we navigate. Search engines changed memory. We stopped memorizing facts because now we can look them up in less than 10 seconds. And in each of these cases, something was lost, yet something was also gained. We didn't really mourn the loss of long division, right? We did notice eventually that something had quietly changed about what we moved through the world without GPS. Right. So, Swati, my question to you is, what cognitive function is AI changing? Is this different in kind from what calculators and GPS changed, or is it, and would you say, is it just a bigger version of the same shift, Swati?
I would argue for the point that it is a bigger shift.
Okay.
Because bringing together all of the understanding and learning that humankind has ever had. So AI essentially has all of it at this point, right? While when you talk about calculators, or if you talk about maybe GPS, these were very like niche verticals that they were touching, right? If you were like using Google Maps to get from point A to point B, you're like driving your car, you're getting there, but then your sense of direction is not improving. So it was taking away a little bit of that learning. But I mean, if you want to get back from that point B to back to point A, you probably wouldn't be able to do that without GPS or without Google Maps. Similarly, like if from a younger age you are utilizing AI to give you all the answers, are you really able to build that muscle, that cognitive ability, that critical thinking of very critically sort of taking some subject and becoming better at it, right? And also adding your own thought process to it. If like whether it be literature, whether it be science, really questioning that why something happened, how it happened from your end. If AI is like feeding you and you get in that mindset at a younger age that, okay, whatever AI is feeding me is positive, is right, and you like fail to start questioning it, I think that is where the detriment lies. If AI is giving you some answers, you still are questioning it, doing your own research, talking to other people, talking to your community, your parents, and really questioning it, I think then that cognitive decline might not happen as much, versus like if we are not guiding our younger generation to keep questioning things that AI is providing them. Because as we see, like moving forward in our generation, the learning will be very, very AI driven and AI augmented. Students, whether like K-12, whether in college, all of them will be using AI to learn, right? So giving them that understanding of how to like use AI in the best way possible, and them to really like align with that itself, that will keep that human cognitive creativity going forward as we would like positively like it to.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more on that, Swati. In fact, I believe that AI literacy is the need of the hour, right? Since we were talking about calculators here, Amrit, my question to you is, are we, moving our brains to higher value, the way calculator freed us from more complex maths, or would you say we are sort of losing something important in the process? And would you say, do we even know what that looks like yet?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Like whenever we adopt a new technology, we lose out on something. And a major thing which I believe we are losing in the new age of tech 10-minute delivery is the empathy and the human connections which we used to have earlier. It has already been lower, and now with the advent of AI, right, when we are talking about personal tutors and personal friends and all these things, so that ways the incentive to interact with fellow folks, fellow students is reduced down further. Like earlier, if I have any problem in my work, right, I used to go to a senior colleague or take help from my group people. But nowadays that thing is not needed. Nowadays you can just go and ask AI and it will get the work done for you. So human touch and human touch points and human values, I would say, empathy, sympathy, all these things are on a downward slope, I would say, right? That is something which we have been losing, but also in terms of work getting done, right? So we are getting a lot of work done in a short span of time. So in that space, we have seen a lot of value. Talking about, has calculator, like you had asked, like adding to what Swati was, talking earlier, right? How big is this technology adoption compared to calculator or computers? If you see, as Swati rightly mentioned, right, calculator, impacted only a segment of people. But we are talking about AI, and AI is going to be like electricity, we are saying, right? So it is going to touch each and every individual on the planet. So that level of technology and that level of adoption, right, we need to prepare ourselves for various aspects, be it psychological, be it physical, and be it, any other aspect of life where we are dealing. It is going to be impacting over there. So we have to prepare. See, like experienced people who are 10 years, 15 years down the line, Swati was telling, they know when to outsource thinking and when to, use your own understanding. But the new graduates who are getting just fresh out of college, because I have a lot of college students as well, right? So they don't know when to trust and when not to trust. And we all know AI hallucinates a lot, right? And, it might give you a wrong value at a time when you're not expecting it, right? And even Deloitte have been a victim of this. Big companies like Deloitte, and they are submitting government contracts in Australia. We have seen that, right? Government has fined Deloitte. So big companies, big fours like Deloitte are doing this mistake. So we know what we can expect from the college students. So having right policies in place, preparing our education system also towards this direction, so that the students who are coming up, this I'm talking about college. Let us talk about students who are in grade 6, grade 8 and grade 10. They are using AI blindly, and God knows what they might be using it for. Internet was dangerous, we were saying. But how AI can be dangerous, we don't know at their level what they have been using it for. So having these policies in place at a government level, at individual level, at school level, teaching them the right way of using AI, that is very crucial. And also keeping the critical thinking and the human aspects of it, right? Human values, like empathy, sympathy, and how to deal with other people and not be totally inhuman. All these things are very crucial when we are going ahead with AI, and we have to incorporate all these things, I believe.
Absolutely, Amrit. In fact, since we were talking about calculators and GPS, with GPS, most people would agree that something real was lost. We lost a sense of space, we lost a sense of spatial reasoning, we lost a sense of ability to find our way. So I believe there is some sort of, at least at a rate, there is an equivalent loss that is happening with AI and thinking. And the fact of the matter is that, unfortunately, I believe we would only notice it when it's already gone, right?
Exactly.
The next question that I want to ask you guys is, and here is where the conversation, generally gets a little divided. Many professions say that AI has made them dramatically more productive. They write faster, they think wider, they research deeper. On the other hand, there is also a section that that says that the dependence is growing faster than the capability itself. That people are relying on a tool without actually getting better at the underlying skill. Amrit, this question is to you. You're now at Jungle Ventures, working with founders building AI companies. You also, I believe, co-built a community of product professionals. How do you distinguish augmentation from dependency? And what does one actually look like in practice?
So I am the live example of too dependent on AI. So because like earlier, I create a lot of proposals and investor pitches, right? So earlier it used to take me anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks to create a proposal. And nowadays I have created skills which helps me, create a proposal in just 10 minutes. And guess what? If the AI or Claude is not working, I cannot operate. That is the level of dependency I am into, right? But having said that, at the same time, what I believe is it helps me get lot many things done than I was able to do earlier, because it frees up a lot of time. Yeah, there are chances that these AI tools might get banned or they might get more expensive, but still I would say I have a lot more to gain than to lose. Being a small entrepreneur or a budding entrepreneur, right? I have a lot to gain and very less to lose. So that is where it is very beneficial for me. But if you're a big enterprise or a big company, at that level, you start, looking at things very differently. You start looking at things at a granular level, right? You start looking at basically, token optimizations, and, you start looking at various, ways of start developing prompt libraries and all those stuff. So talking about dependency, I would say 100% the dependency is there, and, I cannot operate without AI, but at the same time, it has, freed up so much of my time that my business has grown, very much after I've started actively using AI and, into my day-to-day workflows. And all the employees in our company, we have a policy that, they should start, they should use AI actively. We provide them all the subscriptions. And, anyone who's not adopting AI, we see, them as not a good fit for our organization. So yeah, dependency is there, but we get a lot of work done, and we believe in getting work done because that is something which we can measure. And if it is not there, then there will be a difficulty, but that difficulty will be for everyone else as well.
It's the same logic, really. You walk with it rather than walking behind it. Yes.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you for answering that, Amrit. Swati, my question is to you now. You teach AI PM mastery, right? At what point would you say this convenience become cognitive outsourcing? Do you have a personal test that you apply to yourself, which is a way of checking whether you are using AI as a tool or, you're relying on it as a crutch?
No, definitely. I think, that's a practice that I like to do, or that's an exercise I like to do with myself probably every week, because there's so much changing. AI is becoming more and more powerful every week, right? Something new is coming up. So I like to do that exercise of kind of sitting with myself and like how I am sort of outsourcing my work and a part of my thinking to AI is gradual. It's not like one day I'm waking up and I'm saying like everything AI is going to be my just agent or a replica of myself, or just like an autopilot that I'm outsourcing everything to it, right? So I'm like giving it things gradually, first like letting it just take notes for me, then build presentations for me, build proposals for me, and then having like probably a second AI or agent go through everything that's happening to see if like whatever like the first AI or first agent spit out is correct or not. So I'm like gradually doing that exercise with my AI and sitting with myself and thinking, okay, what if like next week all of this goes away? Because if you see like Fable 5 was banned within a week or so, and some people had started using it actively, but you have to like do that exercise with yourself and see, okay, this is what I'm outsourcing to it, or this is what it's helping me build. Or even if like a product that an enterprise is building, there is a very critical API or element that they are putting their product towards, right? So you need to think that if it goes away, what is the fallback? And are you ready for it? If that happens, what are the trade-offs? Will you lose business? Will your costs go up? And are you prepared for it? I think in the world that we are living in right now, anything can happen. So we need to be prepared for that and be answerable to it, unless like you have a lot of VC money that you can probably fall back on and not worry about that much. But yeah, if you are, I would say, a cost profit business, you're operating on a profit, or you're bootstrapped, then you still have to think about what happens in the next week if something changes, right? So that's something that I try to do, and also like build that in the concepts I teach in my product management classes, because product managers have to evaluate everything when they have to start like thinking about a particular product or a feature. They have to have the whole context. They have to do all the research through all the channels, their competitors, everything that's happening like macroeconomically across geographies, right? So evaluating that, those evals and evaluation at this point is what separates a traditional product manager with an AI product manager, right? So I think the biggest muscle that product leaders and managers can hone right now is evaluating how AI is going to affect your business and your product.
Right. And there is no stone cold answer, I believe, that whether you should be using AI or you shouldn't be using AI. Again, it's a very gray space, right? Shifting focus now, and this is the finding that I think, catches people off guard. Right? AI was supposed to save time. It was supposed to reduce repetitive work. But, growing research suggests that there is something opposite that might be happening here, right? I believe as, professionals juggle multiple AI tools, they review AI-generated content, they review AI-generated outputs, they respond essentially to rising expectation. Swati, this question is to you. AI promised productivity gains and less busy work, right? Why do you feel there are so many professionals, who feel busier and more mentally exhausted than ever? Is that your experience, talking especially to women in product across India?
No, definitely. I have come across a lot of experiences from professionals in big tech, especially in big tech, who have to change their way of working from like a legacy tech to a very AI first organization. They are in a lot of meetings, they are in a lot of reviews to see, okay, we are now changing our way of probably writing code, or our engineering teams and product and design teams are becoming AI first. Their first step of doing their work is AI, and and when you use AI, you are utilizing tokens, right? There is essentially a cost to you and your teams using AI. So a lot of busy work is coming from that, where when organizations are giving that AI tools access to their teams, then the managers or even like the employees who are utilizing, they have to give some sort of reporting back that, okay, why you used the number of tokens that you used, and is there a way for you to optimize it? So to balance like the cost of using AI, right? That it isn't a burden versus like it is actually helping you become productive and gain versus like becoming a liability and cost, right? So that is where a lot of review is happening for employees and workers using AI. That's what I have heard through my community. And also, secondly, from the governance standpoint, right?
Yes.
Because they're like, especially industries that have a lot to lose and they are very private with their data, like fintech and healthcare, legal, they have to have another layer of, although like in the long run, they want to become more and more productive. But right now, when they are building that AI system and automating all of this, they have to have a human in the loop. They have to have another layer of AI and then again a human to see how they can effectively automate it, so that it's not a double cost in terms of having like a human team as well, and also like AI being employed, the tokens being used. So that there is a lot of, I think, trade-offs right now that enterprises and even startups are going through and trying to get those answers.
Understood, Swati, and thank you for answering that with so much clarity. Amrit, my next question is to you. Reviewing AI output in its own, is some sort of cognitive labor, I believe, right? Which is arguably more, I would say, draining than doing the task yourself, right? And that sort of, lets you check somebody else's work than creating your own. Do you think that this whole process is underappreciated cost of AI adoption? Would you say something that is what is happening right now?
So yeah, like in my opinion, like as coders were saying, right, it takes more time than in debugging a AI generated code than writing itself, right? It would have taken me lesser time. But once you move out of coding and once you get into other domains, right, be it marketing, be it branding, or be it legal or finance, in all these domains, I would say the things are getting done faster as compared to earlier. As I said, right, if I had to create a proposal, I do a market research, competitor analysis, and all those things, right? It would have taken me let's say 2 or 3 days. But with AI, the market research which I do, right, I just have to go through 10, 20 or 30 links at max, right? Instead of going through thousands of websites, identifying the right sources and then reading through that. In both the cases, I have to do the reading myself only. But in this case, AI narrows down and points fingers towards the resources which it believes. So basically, there's already one layer of filter already been applied, and it saves me time over there. So if you remove coding part of it, and if you remove something which you are deploying at a production level or being using at a level where other people are going to be using it, at that state it might be taking me more time if I had done it without AI. But at a personal level, it definitely saves a lot of time for me, because I don't have to cross verify, because if errors is also there, and I can verify it and get it rectified. So I don't have accountability. But once you are deploying something for public use, at that time you have accountability, and that time you have to do multiple tests and everything. So in that case, you are very cautious, right? So in that case, it is taking you more time to resolve it, resolve the AI errors, as compared to, if you would have done it yourself, it would have taken you less time. So it depends on the use cases. Coding, definitely, yes, right now, the debugging takes a lot of time, but this is just the beginning. If you see, right, Antara, we are just at the beginning. We were discussing yesterday only, right? From infant, it has become a toddler, and it is going to become a teenager, and it is going to become a fully grown adult, right, in coming years. So we have to look at it from that perspective as well, and doing the hard work, right? Knowing where AI goes wrong, and how do you fix it? That is a part of experience. People who are actively doing these things right now, right, over a period of 3 to 6 years, they are going to be experts in these domains. They will be able to predict where the AI is going to be wrong going forward, and have safeguards in place, from beforehand only. So all these things are adding to the experience, and any day I would say, if a lot of money is being pumped into AI, we should definitely start adopting it. Even though it might make mistakes right now, even though it might take more time for you to rectify those mistakes, but over a longer period of time, it is going to definitely pay off, and definitely going to save you a lot of money and help you make a lot of money.
Understood. And my next question is to the two of you. Would you say that we are using AI to reduce work, or are we simply raising expectations faster than productivity gains can keep up? And also, is there a version of this where AI makes the gap between high performers and everyone else wider but not narrower?
I can take that.
Yes,
and then I'd like to give a very recent example of us hiring for interns directly. So we have academic partners, and we consistently hire interns, more so to give them that industry exposure, versus giving them a lot of work or having a lot of expectation, right? Yes. But the people we hire, we do have a certain level of expectation from them. So we definitely give them assignment beforehand, even before the first interview happens. So what we saw in the recent batch of applications was just it was so homogeneous in terms of the answers that were submitted, that we had to then give them a second layer of assignment for them to be on video and speak out what they really think, right? So it is becoming a little bit difficult to kind of demarcate that homogeneity when we are trying to get talent, and it's not only about the productivity and only about people who can just utilize AI to spit out an answer. We need that critical thinking in anyone we hire, who can be a self-starter and do something that probably the current existing team is not, doesn't have that capability, right? We would like someone who has complementary skills and adds to the strength of the team, versus just someone who we train as a replica of ourselves. So that is where it's getting a little bit difficult when we see applications that are so AI generated at this point. So that's a very, very recent example that I saw.
Understood. Amrit?
Now, talking about, is it keeping us busy, or or is it reduced our work? Now, it's not reduced our work, because right now we are able to get so many things done in a short span of time. Workaholic people tend to do more. And Andre, A16Z partner, right, the ventures, right, in SF, he was on Joe Rogan podcast, and he was saying, right, people have become AI vampires, right? They are just waking up throughout the night and not sleeping, and making AI do all the work for them, because they feel if they sleep, people around them are going to get ahead of them. So that is the FOMO they are living in, right? So they want to, because AI is getting done so many things so fast and so good, they want to get maximum amount of work done before anyone else. So that is one more aspect of it. Yeah, it is, we were expecting it to reduce our workload and free us some time, but it is doing such a good work. People want to get more things done. Similar with me as well. I used to feel it will free up more time, but yeah, now I'm occupied with 10 different things, other things, right? I feel I can do this thing as well. I can, accommodate 2-3 more, sessions, or, I can accommodate 2-3 more proposals, or I can, consult 2-3 more AI companies, because right now I have the bandwidth, because AI offloads a lot of my tasks, right? A lot of my research, a lot of my, learning is taken care by AI. And, a lot of repetitive work which I used to do, I have created skills so that AI takes care of all those stuff. So yeah, so that ways AI has made me at least busier, and people around me have become more busier using AI than becoming, freer.
Understood.
But also, I do want to add to that,
please.
where Amrit made the point that he's able to take on more than before with AI, but it also necessitates, I would say, getting the real human feedback with, okay, you are taking on more, you're generating more documents or proposals, but getting that human feedback of, is it really up to the quality that they want, or is it affecting the quality at any point, right? So that becomes very necessary as well when we are doing more with AI, being in tune with the feedback.
Understood.
100%, yeah.
Understood. In fact, now I would like to ask both of you this question. Students, since we were talking about talent and younger professionals, let's talk a little bit about the students as well. They today can generate essays, they can solve problems, they can summarize entire books and explain complex concepts literally within seconds. Right? So the traditional model of education, that is, you read, you remember, you recall, and then you demonstrate. That model is sort of colliding head on with the tools that can do all of this in an instant. Swati, you have, I believe, spoken at IIM Bangalore's Product Week and IIT Delhi's Tech Week. You are in rooms with the next generation of India's tech and business talent. How would you say the education by itself should evolve? What skills become more valuable as AI sort of becomes ubiquitous?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would like to, so the IIT and IIM product weeks and their fests were last year when I spoke there, and there were students there. So at that point, AI was just coming up, and the conversation was how students should be thinking about using AI more and more. They were still not as aware of anything apart from ChatGPT at that point. So the conversations then were making them aware of what all they can use. By this point, because the generation that picks up any technology the fastest is the newer, younger generation, right? So Gen Z is the most equipped to utilize this technology fastest and in the best way possible also, because they were not exposed to a workplace scenario that had anything else apart from AI augmenting that, right? So they are in the best position to utilize it, but also going generation probably lower, even newer generation than Gen Z. I think, is it alpha or beta? I don't know. Is it probably alpha, right? So then, and we were having a podcast yesterday, and we had 2 students on the podcast, and we were having this discussion with them of how they are utilizing AI. So one was a college student doing their computer science in second year, and the other was student in their 12th grade going to take on their boards, right? Both of their answers were that their parents are very supportive of them using AI because they can see the productivity gain that and the lesser time that the students are able to give to their studies while getting more and learning more when they use AI. But their professors discourage them. Both of their professors don't want them to use AI and get the fundamentals and concept right first and then touch AI, right? But if you see, teenagers and students are rebels when they are in college and school. You can't deter them or stop them from using AI.
Absolutely.
So the new age, definitely has to have that thought process, a very, I would say, and for the lack of a good word, are very empathetic, like empathizing with the students, right? Empathetic process in place that helps them use AI, but in the right way, right? You can't like stop them from using at all. So why not really enable them in the right way? I think that sort of process and system is really required. That kind of society is now required to enable our younger generation to use it in the right way possible.
Adding to that, I've been discussing with a lot of college professors, have been working with them, in developing a curriculum where the use of AI tools is a part of the curriculum. And the evaluation process itself involves, factoring in the use of AI. So rather than just, marking it as AI, rejecting, let's say submission as AI used, we ask for prompts. What are the prompts did you use? Because, and evaluate them on the process of that. These are the prompts you have used and these are the outputs you have got, and asking them to defend the submission on ground. Because, and, asking cross questioning. So all these things, what happens is, number one, they are learning the right way of using AI. Prompting is the only skill which we believe, right, which will help them use AI to the best possible way. And what better than, asking, making them think more about the prompting and, evaluating based on their prompts. And number two, making them defend it on the spot, right? That number one, increases their confidence, and that reflects how much you have understood. So in the new world of AI, we need new, way of examining students rather than, just a paper and pen test. We should incorporate all these new innovative techniques, which I guess few colleges have already been actively focusing towards. Anand Sagar University is one college, Presidency College. Like I have been in active talks with them. I have been consulting them. So they are also into this thing. So yeah, teachers have started thinking, and hopefully over a period of time, we will come to a position where, AI becomes a part of the curriculum. Because if you see, right, globally, in London, in US, students have started getting AI tools as a part of their curriculum, right? And they are like, we used to learn AutoCAD or, any other software in colleges, right? But they are learning Claude in their colleges. They are learning ChatGPT. They are learning design. They are learning Claude design. So these guys are going to be different beasts when they come out of college. For them, it is like, they are AI native users. For them, the design, if they are working in design, they cannot think without all these AI tools. So these are the people who we are going to be competing with, or our students are going to be competing with. So I have been recommending all the colleges to start collaborating or partnering with these companies, ChatGPT or be it, Anthropic, and start providing access to AI tools or free credits or paid tools to students so that they become a native user. They incorporate in their workflows, and by the time they are out of the college, they are very well versed with all these tools.
Yes.
And I would like to add to that, yes, Amrit. I think all of the points that you made are very valid. But like if we see India as a country, right, we have the most number of, I think, engineers coming out, and even doctors like coming out of colleges, right? But I feel like so far, probably a couple of years back, the focus has been helping students develop a very specific, very technical sort of skill set. In engineering colleges, from my experience, there wasn't a lot of like product thinking or a vision and goal based approach that was being inculcated in students. It's more like, okay, you develop the technical know-how, and then when you are in the industry, you will learn that sort of product thinking or business thinking, right? I think like with AI, since a lot of this technical skill set can be outsourced, how are we able to enable the next generation to think critically and have that exercise of product thinking, design thinking, and business thinking more, right? That there is an opportunity to inculcate that more in the curriculum.
Thank you for adding that, Swati. I would like to move ahead now. One of the most consistent, I believe, observations among heavy AI users is this: AI can sound incredibly convincing when it is completely wrong. All about hallucination, right? Confident, it can sound well structured, it can also sound articulate. So, Amrit, my question is to you now. If people, increasingly rely on AI generated outputs, who would you say is really responsible for verification? Is it the user? Is it the platform? Or, is it the organization that has adopted that particular tool?
100% user. if something is coming out of my email, it is a proposal which I have sent through my email. I should take 100% accountability of that. I should have verified it. I should have verified each and every point. As I said, AI can reduce the time between idea to execution, but you should not expect it to do your work. I'll give you a very good example, Andra. Okay, like I was preparing a proposal for my investor. Okay, and the first draft was there. I asked it to make some changes. The second draft I got, I asked it to make some changes. In the third draft, the changes which I had asked, they were corrected, but it had made a mathematical error in some other place which I didn't ask it to touch. Okay, as a human tendency, you will only check the places where you have asked it to make changes, right? But it had made an error somewhere else. So as a part of my training, I make sure, I put this point across very clearly. It is my duty and my responsibility to read each and every point. Even if it is a 100-page document, I want AI created document, or let's say a 5-page proposal, or let's say 10-page pitch deck. I have to go through each and every point, and I have to verify each and every number which it has given. If anything is coming out of my email, it is my responsibility. I cannot say, oh my God, AI did it, so you only asked me to use AI. No, that is the first point which we teach in all our workshop, that you are accountable for your AI. You are accountable of anything that is coming out of your email. Verified 2 times, verified 3 times. I even tell them to sleep on it. Like sometimes, if it's a high stake, scenario, I sleep on my proposal. I, cross verify, show it to my colleagues, I show it to my partners, and then only I send it across. So these are all the checks which we have to do. And to answer to your question point blank, it is the user who is responsible for anything that is coming out of his ID.
Yeah, and that is not probably an answer a lot of people would want to hear, but I do second you on that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the responsibility, does fall on us. Swati, the next question is to you. You run AI PM mastery cohorts. Is verification, the ability to audit and you challenging AI output something that you are explicitly teaching? And do you think that it is becoming one of the most important skills a product professional can have?
No, definitely, 100%. The auditability, that is like one of the biggest criteria for a product person and a product team to sort of evaluate the kind of AI or LLM they need to pick for their feature or product. So we start with that in terms of the kind of data representation that model or that they have picked up, or like a small SLM that they are creating. So that they have to check that. They have to check the biasness of that data that it is spitting out, the representation of certain data sets and data points that it has. Yes. So all of this auditability is essential. Like to start with, product managers and product leaders have to do it first, and then move forward with their design and engineering teams to guide them that, okay, this is the best LLM, or this is the best model, or we need RAG on top of it, or we need to fine tune it more based on, okay, the kind of outputs it's giving out. So that you have to, like as a product professional, you have to start with that to eliminate those biases and stereotypes out of that data.
Okay. The next question is for the both of you. Verification requires you to already know enough, right, about the subject to spot when something's wrong. Now, if a generation grows up using AI as their first port of call for that particular subject, where do you believe the expertise needed to verify it would come from? Would you say that this is sort of a circular problem?
In our experience, like what I would say is, we need to do AI training for people who are joining your team. Okay. Right? And provide them with the right guidance as a senior leader, as a, senior working in the company. You should tell them, what is right, what is not right. And the basics remain same. If I want to learn marketing, I have to learn all the basic, I have to read all the basics of marketing, read the famous books, right? If I'm into sales, I have to read all the sales books, right? And so there is no, substitute of hard work, right? Understanding any subject, right? You develop expertise over a period of time. I cannot expect a 2 years experienced marketing fellow to do a work which has been done by a 10 years, experienced person, because using AI, he can do that. So that onus lies on the organization also, right? What is the task you're assigning to a 1 year experienced person or a 3 years experienced person or a 5 years experienced person? So yeah, and depends on the capability also. It is very subjective also, right? The person, a 3 years experienced person might have done more work or, what past work. So depending on all these things, I would say the experience here is the, a moat, right? How many projects and similar projects you have worked in, and assigning tasks based on that. And we should, at a company level, set up a policy also, or SOPs, right? How do you verify it, right? Any proposal you are creating, all the resources or whatever you have, wherever you have picked up the data, you should add those links. Sources and citations should be very clear. There's always going to be citations. There should be a prompt library maintained. What prompts did he use to get this work done, right? So that if anyone wants to backtrack and go and verify, there's a clear path, and we can identify the mistakes and create a company a weekly or a monthly basis, explain where all these problems are happening, okay, where all we are going wrong, and these are the experiences department wise. Here we had gone wrong, so please make sure we will we don't make this mistake again. So as a company, we should have these learning meetings every week, every month, so that where we discuss all these problems. And as you said, verification, who will verify it depends on the we hire someone with a certain set of expertise, right? So it is their onus and their duty to verify whatever they are doing is right or wrong. And then there comes the senior above them, right? They also they know, like, it is the same process which we follow right now, right? Right now also people can go wrong, people can give wrong citations, and we have some level of trust based on number of experience they have, and we also judge, right? Like, my junior, will he be able to keep it? Let's say I have 3 people working under me. I know who will be able to do a better task. So that onus is on me as well, right? And and that is what I would say, is the way going forward, creating, learning environment, monthly meetups, monthly reviews, to understand where it is going wrong, and, allocating the right work to the right person.
Understood, Amrit. And in the interest of time, we'd have to wrap up this segment, but there is one last question, and this is for the both of you. What is that one thing that, humans should never outsource to artificial intelligence? The one part of thinking, that needs to stay ours, no matter how capable these systems become.
I would say how you behave day to day as a human being, probably with the people you are closest to it, right? If for context, for the audience, Amrit and I, we are married, right?
Yes.
If I go to AI to ask if we have an argument, I go to AI and ask for an answer that, okay, Amrit behaved this way. What should I get out? What should I think of his behavior? I don't know what AI doesn't know our relationship. AI doesn't know Amrit as a person. So I don't know what it will answer and how it will affect my judgment of that situation. So I would say that is a full no. For me and for anyone, not to outsource how you play out in relationships that are the closest to you. Go to AI and ask about it. Which again, we have seen the news of suicides, etc., that have happened, right?
Yes.
With teenagers going and asking about a heartbreak to AI, and AI kind of pushing them to a suicide, right? So that is a total no.
Basically, do not use AI as your therapist. Not your unpaid therapist.
Yeah. But again, I'm seeing there is a lot of VC money being pumped into
AI
these systems. AI companions and therapists. So I am very curious to see how it plays out.
I am curious, Swati, and I'm worried. I mean, are we getting lonelier by the day? Do we actually need AI companions? Like what happened to saying hello to your neighbor?
Exactly.
I mean, so sure. Amrit, anything that you want to add before we close this?
Yeah, I don't want to, decision making should be mine.
Okay.
100%. Like I can take help from AI, but ultimately, don't always pick the top one option, right? It always gives you three options. Say this is my recommendation. I would say you can go, differ in that and go with your gut feeling. Sometimes those are right, and go with your experience, right? Many of the times the first option is not the right option, right? It says this is my recommendation, but there's option 2 and option 3 as well. But there might be option 4 as well, or option 5 as well. Right. So yeah, go with your gut feeling. And I would want to make a mistake on my assumption rather than making a mistake on AI's assumption. So yeah,
Fair. My understanding. And again, Amrit and Swati, in the interest of time, we'll have to wrap this conversation. But I mean, this is something that we can go on and on about.
Yeah.
To close it off, if AI can increasingly think with us, think for us, and even sometimes think ahead of us. The question is, I believe, no longer simply how powerful these systems become, but rather what parts of thinking should humans never outsource, right? Maybe that is the real work of this era, not resisting AI and not surrendering to it either. But, really figuring out deliberately and honestly which parts of our mind do we want to keep exercising. Because the moment that we stop, I fear that we may not notice that we have, already lost until it's already gone. So, Amrit and Swati, it's been great. It's been an absolute pleasure to host the two of you. It's been a great, great conversation. I'm looking forward to have a talk with you soon. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. This is Point Break. I'm Antara, and we will see you next time.